Could you please write in the chat pod if you, now yes, okay, that's great. Nice to have you on board. Welcome everybody. My name is Katarzyna Aleksy. I'm the head of department at NAWA, Polish National Agency for Academic Exchange. And here with me is also Monika Zaremba from Euraccess Poland to support the webinar chat and the panel discussion.
Hello everybody, good morning, dzień dobry.
The NAWA director, Dr. Grażyna Żebrowska, could not be with us today to open the webinar as she is still at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs discussing our support in the program Solidarity for Belarus, but she promised she will join our webinar and will stay with us and give some closing remarks. And just at the beginning, today's webinar is co-organized by three institutions, NAWA, Polish National Agency for Academic Exchange. We are the governmental agency established 3 years ago, minus 7 days. The mission of the agency is to support academic exchange and international cooperation in order to strengthen the potential of Polish science and higher education. We do understand the importance of giving universities and the research institutions tools for capacity building in providing high quality service for international students and staff. Staff understood as academics, administration, doctoral students and researchers, and that's the idea behind the program that you probably know, Welcome to Poland. Our second partner in crime is IROS Forum. I see in the chat and I saw in the registration forms many members of IROS Forum. Welcome everybody. IROS Forum is a network of international cooperation offices of Polish public universities. The initiative for this webinar was actually inspired during the March meeting with the IROS Forum Council. And the IROS Forum Network is the voice of Polish higher education universities community and an important stakeholder for cooperation and consultation on directions of development of NAWA's program offer. And the last but not least, Euraccess Poland team of the National Contact Point for Research Program of the European Union. And I would like to ask Ania Wiśniewska from Euraccess Poland to take the floor. Ania, please, the floor is yours.
Now I hope that everything is okay. Yeah, Kasiu, can you confirm? Okay.
Yeah, confirm.
Okay. Thank you a lot. Dzień dobry Państwu. Good morning again to everyone and welcome to the webinar today. And at the beginning, as the coordinator of the Polish Euraccess Network and MSCA MCP in the same time, I'd like to express my great satisfaction with the close cooperation with NAWA resulting in this second webinar, which helps to boost internationalization of the Polish scientific organizations. And also, because I think it's a good news, thanks to our joint activities, it was also possible to establish, finally, the seal of excellence for Marie Skłodowska-Curie program, and that means that the MSCA fellows will be able to carry out research in Poland at the Polish research institutions. I'm also very pleased to welcome our speakers who are members of this Pan-European Euraccess Network. I believe that it's a quite unique initiative on the European research and innovation map, also reaching out beyond Europe. And I think that its rareness lies in offering researchers and their employers from any sector comprehensive support in the field of international mobility and career development. Package of practical information, tools and advice on how to settle down in 42 countries, because that's the number of the members of this network, of course, including Poland, as well as dozens of job and funding opportunities may be found on the Euraccess European and national portals. And moreover, personalized service is provided to researchers and their families in different matters linked to their professional and daily life. And in fact, today, our girls are going to present just a part of the EURACSS service offer addressed to scientists coming to the universities. The activities, in fact, helping them to feel at home. So I hope that the experience will inspire you to introduce maybe some of them at your institutions. And of course, you're also welcome to contact the members of the Polish EURACSS network for support, and also to use the information provided on the Polish portal as well. So wishing you a fruitful discussion, I pass the floor to Kasia, the moderator of these today's sessions. Thank you a lot.
Yeah, we come back to the studio. Thank you, Anna, for the opening words, and I cannot wait the presentations and the discussions. I'm in the lucky position that I saw the presentations, so they are very exciting. But before we start the webinar, some organizational information. I will check if I mentioned everything. First, information probably you already asked or will ask in the chat bot. The webinar is being recorded, and we will make the recording available at the YouTube channel in 2 days, not more, not longer. The presentations from the webinar will be sent to you to the email addresses provided during registration for the meeting. The presenters agree to send it. Please also use the chat pod. We will collect the most frequently asked questions, which the panelists will discuss in the second part of the webinar after presentations. I would like to emphasize and kindly ask you to ask as much as possible general questions, cross-sectional questions in the chat, not questions very individual and regarding to specific cases. If you would like to address the question to a specific presenter, please name or mention the name of the presenter when starting the question. Another one very important remark, dear participants, please do have in mind during our virtual meeting that according to the topic of the webinar, today we will focus on researchers, not on students. So this is the distinction, and this is very important difference. So please remember it when we will have also the chat Q&A session. Most of you probably know NAWA program Welcome to Poland, and by the way, the next call will be announced within 3 weeks, I believe. I hope the program was also inspiration for some of you to take part in the webinar, but also in order to give feedback of who you are and what is your background, we would like to ask you only 2 warming up questions from the beginning. So would you please be so kind and vote answering to the first question. I will show you some results in 5 seconds. Or maybe even, I think we have most of the participants. Yeah, I will end the voting, and please see the results. This is the background of the institutional background of the participants of the webinar. Thank you very much for letting us know. And I have also another one question for you, and this is actually, I hope you can see it in a moment. Yeah. I will give you some more time. However, the answers are, I think, pretty obvious. I will end the questionnaire in 5 seconds. Thank you very much for being very active and letting us know. I hope the presenters also can see and adjust the presentation, also knowing your background. I will end the voting now and show you the results. These are your answers. Okay, We will start with the with our guest from Germany, from University of Leipzig, and please let me introduce our first speaker. Dr. Anemone Fabricius, and Dr. Anemone Fabricius is a senior consultant in the Wellcome Center at the Leipzig University. I see Anemone is joining us in this moment. She is also responsible for mobility preparation. Her personal education background is PhD in International Comparative Education, and Anemone works for Leipzig University's International Office since 1997, and she's the head of Wellcome Center since 2012. Great experience, long story behind Anemone, and for sure you have a lot of good practice to share with us. So Anemone, please, the floor and the mic is yours.
Thank you very much. Hello from Leipzig, Germany. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very glad to be with you today. And I would like to start to introduce our Wellcome Center. The technique is working, so everything is fine. Although some of the German Wellcome Centers were already founded in 2006 until 2010 by an initiative of the Alexander von Humboldt Foundation, we were not as lucky. We didn't won any prize money, so we had to wait a little bit until our ministry actually helped us to establish some more infrastructure for Leipzig University. Not only our Wellcome Center was founded in 2012, but also some other structures at the university. So since this year, 2012, we actually have a Wellcome Center, although it was mentioned before, we have been working with the International Target Group for much longer. Our target group, as you can read, it's new appointed staff from abroad, from postdoc level, visiting scholars, guest professors, but also PhD students which have working contracts, and scholars mostly of the Humboldt Foundation, the German Academic Exchange Service, DAAD, Fulbright, but we also take care of guest physicians of the Leipzig University Hospital from abroad. Which services do we offer? As you can read, we give consultation to visa and resident permits even before the arrival. So we get a lot of emails and questions. So we help the target group before they actually enter Germany. And then after arrival, of course, we give them assistance with authorities. The most important part is the resident permit application. So we check documents before forwarding them to the authorities, and we give assistance with other services, school authorities, financial authorities. Another field we take care of is the accommodation. So we give assistance with finding a furnished flat, or providing accommodation in our university guest house. With this, we work together with private boarding houses. You can read some of them, but of course you won't know them because you don't live in Germany. And the third field is the family field. Of course, we also give assistance to find a place at school or kindergarten for the families of our visiting scholars. And also the child daycare is one of our topics. And another one is learning German. So we are very often contacted when people from abroad, new staff, visiting scholars, they want to learn German. So we also give assistance in that field. The first steps after arrival we take care of is personal assistance in opening a bank account, finding a health insurance, in the field of public transport, culture, or registering at the city of Leipzig. So how do we do that? Because we have many people, so we cannot always help them individually by actually joining them. So I think the most important part of our work is to provide digital material for our target group. Here's just one example, First Steps in Leipzig. So we publish a lot of digital material. And as you can see, all those material, it contains links and also downloads, so it's really handy. So they get one page and then they get all steps explained, they get the material they need. So I think this is very, very important, not to answer every question, not to join every guest in person, but to help them to help themselves. This is, I think, very important. Here's another example. So the first thing you might know this is also making appointments at the Foreigners Authority for the resident permit application. So of course we give information about that topic too. And of course, these materials and flyers, they are updated very often because we try to react to the topics which are needed. So at the last moment, we very often get questions about apostille legalization of documents, which have been a problem. So that's why we published new material about apostille legalization. So I think it's very important to actually react to the needs. So you will find out that some material it's not needed, but other material which you do not have, you have to create. So you have to be very creative in your job in the Welcome Center as well. Another thing we provide since I think 2014-15 is an electronic card we give to our target group. It's the so-called Leibniz card. It looks like a student card, but until that year, our visiting scholars at New International Staff, they didn't really have a card to access the library, to pay in the canteen, or to access our Wi-Fi EduRoam network. And therefore, we also created this card. So I think it's probably the most important step because they arrive, they contact us, they supply their data via our MoveOn database. Some of you might work with this MoveOn database, and then we can issue the card right away when they come. So we have been told that this instrument, it's really good, and we are totally individually from our student services. So we do not have to do anything with the student, and this card is also very independently from the student card. So I want to sum up the functions of the Welcome Center again. First thing, information and advice for new international staff and visiting scholars. And the second part is also information and advice for inviting institutes, because we think also the institutes need material, they need advice, because we do not see every visiting scholar, every guest. So it's very important also to train the institutes. Another target we have, we do integration and networking with language courses, cultural activities. So we work as pilot and multiplier, and we offer individual things. And I have some more examples for you. No, first the challenges. The examples will be a little bit later. So of course we face a lot of challenges because our housing market, especially before Corona, was really difficult for stays under 6 months. Childcare for children under 6 years, because the city of Leipzig has a lot of children. So it was always difficult for our new international guests and visiting scholars to find a kindergarten place themselves. So we needed to help them. And when you cooperate with the German authorities, it's also very hard because many material authorities, for instance, the tax authorities, everything just exists in German. Other challenges, the recognition of foreign degrees, dual career, this might be a topic for you as well. Then the limitation of work contracts. And as I already mentioned, information available only in German. I do not want to read out everything because you will get the presentation afterwards, so you can read step by step. Some examples of good practice. Oh, I just, maybe one of your questions, how many staff we have in our Welcome Center. Actually, we are just 2, so it's just me and a colleague. And sometimes for some project, we have a student assistant, but so we are not really rich of staff in comparison to other German Welcome Centers where they have 4 full staff, and we are not even full staff. So I don't have a full position and my colleague just has a 50% position. So just one of your questions. So as I already mentioned, we think the virtual work of our Welcome Center is so important, and that's why we created so many guidelines and material. Here you can, for instance, see one flyer we created to find our Foreigners Authority or other authorities, because you can see it's a big building and the people, they got lost. So we thought, okay, let's do a guideline. And other guidelines, welcome to Leipzig, arrival, A to Z. As you can see, there is a directory with everything which is important. So you just jump into the chapter you need, and there you find the information in English. And another big part is, for instance, also for new international staff, filling out the employment documents, because they are all in German, which might be not too bad because you can just give an English translation, which we do. But sometimes there are questions. Just one example. In this employment papers, they read, okay, they need a certificate by the police of good conduct. And then some people, they might think, why do I need to prove that that I don't have a criminal record? So we had often questions by people from Iran or Arab countries. They thought, wow, do you think we are all terrorists? But then, of course, we explained them that all German civil servants, they need to have this. So it has nothing to do with discrimination. So that's why those materials with all those descriptions, they are so important, because not only a translation is needed, but sometimes also a description. Every month we also do cultural events. The Welcome Center organizes a cultural event. So, and we invite the visiting scholars who live in our guest house. And last but not least, I want to present our web pages, which are also very important. The first one is the web page of our Welcome Center, where you can see in the download sections a lot of material you can go through later on. And we also run a second web page. It's called Welcome to Leipzig. We joined a network from different institutions, universities, Max Planck Institutes. So we all work together on this web portal. And in the download section, you also see a lot of information. You can find them there. Okay, I think that was my presentation. I have 2 minutes left. So I might still read some of your questions. Okay, is there any help for the researcher's partner? As I said, we do some dual career work. So we work together with our dual career department. How many researchers do you serve each semester? This is indeed a difficult question, because we do not really know how many researchers we serve virtually, because so many people use our materials. So you have to divide them into personal assistants, which we have, for instance, 200 or even more, or invitations for events. But with the virtual help, it's many more. So it's always hard to really know the number of researchers, because not every researcher actually registers with us. And another question. Okay, the expenses related to the foreigners researchers, whether they receive help from the government, maybe we can discuss this question later, because I'm not exactly sure which help from the government it's meant. So I would like to give back to Katarzyna, and maybe we can speak about some questions later on.
So were also some of the questions, but I deeply believe we will spare some more during our panel discussion. So thank you, Anemone, for now. And our next speaker is Mark De Vos, a senior international mobility consultant from University of Copenhagen. Actually, Mark is Dutch anthropologist who earned his degree at Utrecht University. And after he studies, he worked for several years at the Dutch embassy in Accra, in Ghana. He is currently senior advisor, as I mentioned, at the University of Copenhagen Dual Career Spouse Network, and he is also acting bridgehead for Euroaccess Denmark. In 1916, Mark started the International Dual Career Network, Copenhagen, by organizing, developing, and implementing the network chapter from scratch, actually. And currently he is the global president of the network and is active in 13 different chapters from all over the world, starting from New York to Singapore and from Mexico to Luxembourg. Sounds very worldwide, but we have to focus only to European perspective. Mark, please share your feedback with us, and the floor and mic is yours.
Thank you. Could you just wave if you can hear me, Kata? Yes, great. So hello, everybody. Yeah, I'm very happy to be here. Thank you so much for your invitation. I think I never in my life I spoke to so many Polish people at the same time. So it's a pleasure to be here, even though it's from my living room, which feels a bit weird. Also not to see any responses, but that's why we had the chat. So completely go wild. I already can see some people, they say hello, which is nice. So I'm waving to all of you. I'm a bit snotty, like a lot of people. It's not Corona, I did a test, but so bear with me. Also, if my voice cracks. I try to be very time-wise. I put my alarm on 13 minutes, so I have some time left in the end. So yeah, thank you for the invitation, and let's start to talk about the University of Copenhagen. Here you can see the University of Copenhagen, some of the issues we have. And when I say issues, it's companies and good things. We have Lego, we have Carlsberg. A lot of people like that, I guess. We have design, we have the Royal House. So a lot of things to offer, and we offer a lot of nice things for our researchers as well. So let's. Yes, and it works. So where's Copenhagen, or Copenhagen? I learned Danish, by the way. I'm from the Netherlands, so it was not an easy language to learn. But if you get a hang of it, then in the end, yeah, you get to know it. So this is where Denmark is and where Copenhagen is, close to Poland, actually. So the University of Copenhagen, if you can see on the left side, it was founded a very long time ago. So we are a very old and classic university. We have around 40,000 students. We have over 9,000 employees and 5,000 are scientists. Of these 9,000 employees, we have 2,000 who are not coming from Denmark, and those are the people we are working with. We have 9 Nobel Prizes, woohoo. And ranking, and this is kind of tricky, but we would love to say we are #1 in Europe right now on the Shanghai list, and that is because Switzerland is not part of Europe, we say, and the UK. So then we were very happy with the Brexit because now we are #1 in Europe. But yeah, that's how it is. People love rankings. We don't care so much. I mean, we would like to help our international staff. That's most important for us. So where are they coming from, our international researchers? Of course, our researchers, most of them are from Denmark. And then this is the top 10. We have 40 from Poland. And most of them are from Germany, and then Italy, Spain, the UK, and so on. These people you see here are people having working contracts, which means that we also work with guest researchers. So the number we serve, the researchers we serve, is much higher than the 2,000 people. And if you serve so many people, you also need a lot of staff. So who are we? We are 13 people, 13 fully employed people. And it's a combination of my background is cultural anthropology, but we also have lawyers, we also have economists, we also have people with an English background, and we are quite diverse. And on purpose, we try to hire people with a diverse background because our population we serve, they are diverse themselves. So we speak all in all more than 15 languages, which is nice for the people we work with, because sometimes we are able to help them in the local language. So let's see, what do we offer? We now first, where are we in the organization? Some people, they find it important to know where we are. If you look at the screen, you can see the organizational diagram of our university. And on the top right, you see HR and international staff mobility. That's where I work. And that's, yeah, so we are under HR. And we started 8 years ago. Do I say 8? No, in 2008. So we started 12 years ago with 2 people. And we started because we finally were making working contracts in English. So that's how our office started. But when you make working contracts in English, you get all these questions from international researchers. So we started to help them and help them and help them, and going to the management and say, we cannot help all these people, we need more staff. So slowly we got more staff. So now 12 years along the line, along the road, we have more people, but we don't make working contracts anymore. So we have these 13 people, 13, 14 people, including students, for a lot of stuff. And I'm going to show you what we actually do and where we use our resources on. We are an international house in Copenhagen. Some of you might heard it. Some of you even have visited it. We are an international house because this is where you register when you come from abroad. So this is where the municipality is. Part of the tax office is an international house. Also, the tax people are here. So we help people who register. And we are on the 6th floor. So if researchers go in, they register themselves, they get a social security number, they get health insurance. And if they have any questions or they cannot really continue because they are missing some documents, they can come up to the 6th floor and we can help them from there. So it's a very strategic position, and that's why we are there. So we're not part of the university in this building, but we just have 1 floor. So what do we do? You can start reading from the left. We give advice on working and living in Denmark. And as Anemone said, I really like that because that's also our motto. It's important to help the researchers to help themselves. So we have an extensive website with a lot of information there. It should be updated, so you have to put a lot of time in it. But if you update your website and have good information there, you save a lot of real questions because the information is available online. But we also would like to see the people. So we have an information meeting every month for new researchers. Around 20 people, they come, and their spouses. So everything we do is for researchers and the spouses because we find it important that the whole family is happy. I give cultural courses, intercultural courses, because I'm an anthropologist, so that's my background. So the biggest chunk of work is working with a working and residence permit, the EU registration, and research taxation. We also help PhD students going abroad. Most people, they have to be abroad 6 months of their stay in Denmark, and then we have 1 person employed who help them to find out where should they go, how does it work with the formalities, for example, with visa situation. Around 80% of the people he helps are going to the US. And then we do a lot of events and excursions, like Anemone also said. We take them all around Denmark. We hire 2 buses. We put 100 researchers in a bus with their family, and we have a great day. We hired a student for that, so she's doing a great job. So we have an extensive dual career program where we organize career lunches. We have a newsletter every month. We have 1.5 people employed for this, just to know the resources. Yeah, and it's a great network. And it seems that people are very happy about it. We have around 500 active spouses who participate in this network. I see a question in the chat. It says, what do you mean with secondment? And I think I just go back to the slide. Secondment is a very fancy word for people who move abroad. So for people who have to stay outside outside Denmark. So I hope that answers your question. And I'm here to deliver an inspirational talk. You can see the Dalai Lama and Oprah trying to be cool, walking on charcoal. I would like to come in on obvious obstacles and measurement of success, because it's a very nice story I have with all the resources and all the money, but a lot of people, they can recognize some of the issues. And I hope you can see that in this room. Like, what is the big elephant in the room? Often it is, ta-da, no money, no resources, no time, or the management says no. And I hear this question a lot because I'm from Denmark, a rich Scandinavian country, and people that say like, oh, it's so easy for you because you have so much money, and how can we do that here? But yeah, we are maybe a rich country, but we have the same issue as other universities. We have some problems with money. The government doesn't give us all the money, so we have to be creative. And yeah, what do you do when you have no money, no resources, and no time, and the management says no? I think it's important to look at, so what do we have, and who else has money, resources, time? So let me give you some examples. So no money, like when we started, we didn't get any money, but we want to do all these things. So what could we do? So we thought, no money. Who else has money? But what do we have? What do we have? We have space. We have a room. We have meeting rooms. We have some students. We have coffee and tea. So we thought we would like to offer more. So we went to the municipality and said, do you maybe have some money for somebody who does a speech, speaker? And then they said, oh, we have some money. I said, okay, fine. You can have our meeting rooms. We will make coffee and the student can be there. So the cool thing is that suddenly we got more events. We didn't use any money. We used the rooms and our coffee, and we got something great out of that. So that's also always what we think. No money, but who has money? But what do we have? For example, resources. A lot of the spouses we are working with, it's a great resource bucket, a bucket full of resources. It's a talent pool of resources. So what do we have resources-wise? We have spouses, and they can do a lot of work. And I would like to show you one of the things we made. We have this brochure. This is our dual career program brochure, but this brochure is made by the spouses. Like if you see the people, they are real spouses. The picture is taken by the spouses. So they use their resources, they help us. They put that on their CV because they would like to work. And some of them, they got jobs through the things they did in our organization. So we don't have resources all the time, but we have a lot of spouses and they can work for us. Let's see, I wrote it down here on my thingy. And who else? Like who else has money or resources? Like the municipality, sometimes private companies, sometimes other universities. If you are in an area with more universities in reach, you can also work together with other universities. So what we do, sometimes we have events, but we have a joint event with 2 other universities and 1 private company about the same issue. For example, tax. Tax is an issue everybody needs to know about when you move to Denmark, but it doesn't matter if you work for a private company or for a university. So that's why it's good to work together and think, okay, who else has the same problem? And if the management says no, that's a tricky one. And I think we all recognize that the management says, oh, great idea to help your spouses, but we don't have money, we don't have resources, we don't have time for that. What we do, sometimes we work a little bit harder, but we work under the radar. And that's how a spouse program started. We asked for an extra person, we didn't get it, but then we put all our resources together and started slowly with a dual career program. And then when we had results, that was a cool thing. And then we went to the management and said, like, listen, we have results. People are asking for it. We made sure a few of the important professors, they said, oh, but they helped my partner, so it's a good thing. And then the management was more interested in thinking, oh, this important researcher needs them, then maybe we can give them some resources. So that could also help. So those are the obvious obstacles. The measurement of success, if you look at the picture, you can see one person participating. And it's a normal question, but at the same time, I hate it. When you organize a webinar, when you organize an event, the first question people ask, how many people did participate? And when you start, maybe there are just 5 people. I mean, you don't have 400 people in the first event. So how can you solve that one? See, the obvious questions, how many participants? If you work with spouses, so how many actually get jobs of all the work you do? And who are the competitors? So what we do is we measure our success in a different way. Of course, we measure how many people are there. If you would like to have more people at your event and you think 5, it's embarrassing, you can also say, you can also invite some other people from other universities or other companies. And that's what we do. We organize events together. I have 2 minutes left. I'm almost done. When you do an event and you know that the management finds it important that that there are 50 people, that's what we had because 5 people was not enough. Then we started inviting people from the municipality, people from other companies to fill up our meeting space. They found it interesting, so why not help more people? And the management was impressed, like, oh wow, there were 50 people in the meeting room. So that's a trick you can use. Let's see. Another thing is important, like when you start your Welcome Center, from the beginning, start to measure. And measure is, of course, numbers, but it's also doing a survey and ask people, is it helpful? When you work with spouses, for example, not all of them got a job. But if they answer you like, oh, but now we stay in Denmark because of your help, which means that the researcher also stays in Denmark because of our help, that's important for the university. Because if you recruit a very important researcher, and they leave the country because of the spouse is not happy, that's a failure. But if we prevent that, that's a success, even though the spouse doesn't get a job. I see a question from Paulina. How do you deal with the visa issues, formalities? I mentioned the US. Yeah, the US, the formalities, it's only when people go abroad. And we advise here. We advise about these formalities, but we have no legal status. But this advice is very valuable for the PhDs going abroad because that's also what they need to know. So we have some contacts they can go to, and we have a lot of information. So that's what we do. So thank you. I will be there for the rest of the day. And I look at the chat. There's nothing concrete right now, maybe up there, which I didn't see it, but we come back to that one. So yeah, it's weird not seeing any reactions, but I'm just waving to everybody. I'm just here, and Kata, please take over.
Yeah, when I look at the chat, it looks like the chat is mostly for presenters. So I encourage our universities and participants to be more active in the chat and ask the questions using the possibility that you are here. Actually, it would be very interesting to hear your feedback from what you see. You know, there are 2 ways of having a presentation. One is just showing how something is organized and working. You, Mark, did just the other way around. You showed us obstacles and challenges and gave us tips how you actually overcome the obstacles and what solutions have you found. That's great. Thank you very much. And see you soon in panel discussion. And now we will switch to our third country being present here in the webinar. And actually, this is a very unusual situation because we have 2 guests from Spain. The first guest is Ignacio Blanco, the director of International Strategy, and the second, Encarnacion Collado from University of Granada. Our presenter is Mr. Ignacio Blanco. You met him actually just minutes ago in the chat pod. Ignacio is a teacher and researcher at the university. He is a senior lecturer in computer science and artificial intelligence and director for international strategy and the vice rectorate for internationalization at the university. International Welcome Center is a relevant part of the internationalization strategy at the university and provided by Vice Rectorate for Internationalization and Vice Rectorate for Research and Knowledge Transfer. But we have also your colleague, Encarnacion Collado. She is an international officer at the Welcome Center at the university. I would say she's the front desk, as she is developing her professional career in the Vice Rectorate for Internationalization and running the International Welcome Center. Encarnacion is running the center since its opening in 2015 and has been the challenge for her, as she is, as I mentioned already, the first window and the reference service office for researchers and professors coming to the institution. Please note that you will not see Encarnacion, but she will be reading your questions regarding the presentation from University of Granada, and she will reply to the questions right away during the presentation, during this part of the webinar. But of course, you may also ask general questions that we will also collect for later. That's it from me, Ignacio. Ignacio, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Kata. I hope you can hear me well. It's okay? Can you hear me? Okay, thank you. First of all, I would like to thank Nava on behalf of University of Granada, on myself, and also in the name of Nana, Encarnacion Collado, who is going to be supporting me in the chat. So it's a different way for us to interact in this online environment, like having someone there, like participating with all the people and replaying those questions that are more specific to the University of Granada. From our perspective, even Kata said before, this initiative, I mean the one on the, oh, sorry, I think I don't have the control on the, but I'm going to deal with it. Okay, now I did it. As you can see, the initiative of the International Welcome Center is a responsibility for the university. Is that so that we have included also in our master plan, that is for 2 years, and it's included year by year with a name. This is an objective of the university to promote the visiting research fellow. So we have people coming here, and also we have to deal with the problem of focusing on some aims, because we want to have international researchers. As you can know, or you may know, University of Granada is the main Erasmus place to come. So, okay, we are not dealing with students at this center, but of course, everything is related. If you want, or you have a researcher or a teacher in the Spanish model, you know that we as teachers, we also have to be researchers. There is not so clear separation at the Spanish university. So there is some kind of relationship between the two of them. So if you have teachers, you are going to have students, and on the opposite. So we have also to seek the excellence in our own teachers and researchers, and it only can be achieved having internationalization and also to promote the excellence out of it. So in the internationalization strategy, that is a yearly program, we have to focus on 2 specific scopes. We have to focus on talent recruitment and also in the internationalization of the research. This is part of the compromise of the university year by year. As Kata said before, this is not only for the Vice Rectorate for Internationalization. This is a combined effort coming from our Vice Rectorate, Internationalization, also the Vice Rectorate for Research and Transfer, Knowledge Transfer, and also for the International School for Postgraduate Studies, that this is a part of the Vice Rectorate for Teaching Issues. So our first step was trying to visit to all the leader institutions in talent attraction. When we started in 2015, before that, we tried to go visiting some leader institutions before creating our International Welcome Center. That's the case of many European institutions. And the idea is we try to collect the services that were used to be provided to all the researchers visiting University of Granada. So from that perspective, we design our set of services. It's not a closed one. First of all, is a research contacts and invitation. So many contacts go directly to the International Welcome Center looking for researchers on some specific field. So we act as some kind of directory for the University of Granada and making them in contact directly with departments, institutes, faculties, and so on. Of course, we help them with the visa issues, with the insurance for traveling and also for staying in Spain, and with all the issues regarding the accommodation. We have some facilities here at the University of Granada for the stays of the researchers, but we can help them if they have special needs, such as coming with families and so on. So we support all family members. They used not to travel alone. We support also local researchers that want to go abroad. Instead of contacting directly to other services in the host institution, we try to help them and to accompany them during all the process, such as people who is looking for research mobility, for academic mobility. Remember that in Spain, there is no separation for the teachers. So every time that you go, that we go abroad, we try to cover all the fields and all the roles that we have to deal with. And also we support people in free mobility. Our International Welcome Center has their own office in the building that we call the building for the Vice Rectorate for Research and Knowledge Transfer. So all the people goes there when they come to Granada. It has to be the first step to go there, but they are informed and they are called every time that they come here. And this building, it's a part of the Vice Rectorate for Research, but the service is run also by the Vice Rectorate for Internationalization. This office is also the local point, the local contact point for the Euraccess network in Granada for the university. It was officially inaugurated in 2015, but of course we were working with all these issues before. So once you are in Granada, we trying to help the people with the first steps, such as having the university card to reach all the services, such as libraries, the canteen, and so on. The Wi-Fi access is quite important, so we have to deal with our IT department in order to have them with their local email address in the university, but also the contact on the access to all the IT services. And also the NIE card or the TIE card, that this is a identification card. Here in Spain, you have to have one. You can use your passport, but it's more useful to have the local one. We also provide support for all the following areas, such as bank accounts, such as language courses, provided mostly by the Modern Languages Center of the university, the medical care, leases, schooling for children, and also leisure activities. We used to make them in contact with all the leisure activities around the city, not only the university, but also the municipality and the regional government, that they are providers for this kind of activities too. Our strengths from our perspective, of course, we are excel in research because we have contact with all the different faculties and institutes in the university. So we can reach anyone that the people coming from outside can want or may want to reach. our hospitality. We have been doing this for many years, and the staff working there in the International Welcome Center are very welcoming people. And the openness, it means like being a comprehensive university covering all the areas, all the fields of the knowledge. We have a very huge list of contacts within the university, and all of them being eager to contact to people from abroad. But of course, we have weakness, such as the integration. We need to integrate the activities in a very global way. So we need to find more of the people within the university. We have contacts with departments, faculties, and so on, but sometimes we need to spread this network of contacts. University of Granada has 4,000 teachers, only teachers and researchers, you know, so it's quite difficult to reach all of them. So this is related to the second one, visibility. Our main problem is the visibility internally within the university. Most of the people or the researchers within the university, they don't know the International Welcome Center as a possibility for receiving people coming from outside, or even for looking for information for going abroad. And of course, we are in Spain. This is a country with a high level of bureaucracy. So every time that we try to close a set of you know, procedures for you to visit us and so on, every time that you try to do that, they are changing. So we have to adapt very often. One of the main problems is the collection of data. Many researchers visit our university without contacting the International Welcome Center. I mean, contacting directly researchers at the university. And those researchers, they don't allow us to know about this visit or a stay or something like that. So we are putting a lot of effort in having all the researchers knowing the International Welcome Center and sending the, you know, the thing, sending the information to us, because collecting data is very important for us. As you can see, our center has been increasing the numbers of the people visiting. Well, this year is quite special because many of our researchers just left the country before the pandemic, or just at the very last stages. We helped some of them because they decided to stay, and then the borders were closed. So they needed some kind of special aid on that. And of course, you can see the evolution of our center. We expect to have increasing numbers when everything has normalized in time. So that's all from our side and our perspective, having Nana supporting you in the chat and me giving these speeches for you to see that this is a very institutional initiative. It's supported by the university itself. You can visit the website of the International Welcome Center, where all the services that we offer to the people from outside and inside the university is shown. So thank you for your attention, and I hope it has been useful.
Okay, Ignacio, thank you so much. Actually, some last slides were the inspiration for my first question, and as we have a really huge line of questions in the chat room, so I will allow myself to ask the first question, but I will also ask the panelists, Anemone and Mark, to join us with the cameras and with the videos. I hope you can hear us and see us, and you will hear the question. Yeah, they're coming. Listening to the last presentation, I wonder how such a welcome center takes care of its promotion and publicity. I can assume there are some stakeholders in your institution, like all the units that you cooperate with. I can also understand that there are, I would say, domestic stakeholders, which are municipality, tax office, banks, and others, NGOs. I can also assume that the target group is also to reach the international researchers coming to your university. So how do you reach your target group? What promotional activities, what tools and channels do you use to communicate with the stakeholders what you do, what are the services, and what is the most effective way to cope with them?
Coffee.
And cookie?
No, and I'm not joking. We use a lot of coffee drinking. Networking is extremely important, and drinking coffee, I mean, it's part of networking. It's important to do with people you would like to work together with. And it helped us a lot. Drinking coffee with people from the bank, drinking coffee with people from the municipality, you know, having good relationships to them. And then finally you need something or they need something, then you can help each other. So we use a lot of time on networking. And in the beginning, it seems a bit pointless because you think, why should I meet with all these people? But it's very, very important. And because of our coffee drinking habits, we have a lot of good contacts and also like a little bit more informal with, for example, people from the tax office, people from the foreign affairs office, the banks. So that helps a lot for us.
Okay.
Maybe I will continue. I would like to agree to Mark. It's really important to keep the contacts, to actually meet with those network people. We used to invite them once a year to a big network meeting. So all the network partners, I introduced the Welcome to Leipzig web portal. So we have a lot of network partners, and well, in Germany, some authorities are really stiff, so you couldn't really have coffee with the foreigners authority here. But we try at least to invite the director or people involved, and that we actually see them. So it is difficult now. Maybe we will talk later about the Corona topic, but in normal times we do that.
But also the internal part. If you are a part of a very big institution such as ours, that is like 60,000 students, like 7,000 staff and so on, it's very difficult to be connected to the other services. So this like getting or letting them to know you and to have a part on their procedures every time that they receive some kind of contact that they used to say, no, you should go to the International Welcome Center. They come here and we connect to them again. It's like putting us within all the procedures related with research. Even for having a researcher visiting for 3 years, it's interesting for us to know that such a connection to other institutions, because this is an open door to have more connections. So even the short stays are very interesting, and being connected to other parts of the university is essential.
Okay, I see there are more and more questions in our chat pod, so we will switch on our Q&A section, and Monica, she's sitting next to me, will publish questions from you. Thank you very much that you became active with the questions. We just published the questions, so Monica?
Let me help you by filling in some gaps when you work on the technical details. I just saw a question about students, if we work together with students as well. And I think in a lot of universities, that's a hot potato, because you have the people working with students here and people working with the employees here. And the way we would like to try to break this situation is we just offered now to also work with residents and working permits also for all the students. because working permits, it is a bit different for students, but it's the same offices, it's the same kind of procedures. So now we are trying to get this chunk of work for the international students. So it's focused in one office. And from there on, we would like to try to collaborate with them, because it's pointless to me if you have a welcome center on the left for students and in the other side of town for employees. It's a waste of resources, talking about resources. So we are trying to work on it, but I think in a lot of universities, it is kind of very much divided on this side and on this side. So now the system works. So no
we
of
have
gaps.
First question from Edita Lachowicz-Santos. Thank you, Edita. Could you please, do you have some comment on remarks on the question?
I would like to add what Mark just said. The thing is, the infrastructure for students was usually really good. So a lot of colleagues involved, infrastructure was fine. So welcome centers were in Germany established because the infrastructure for researchers was lacking. So we filled in this gap. But of course, it's also a mixture. When I mentioned that we also help PhD students with work contracts, because they are both, they are students and they are employees. So of course, we always work together, but I have to confess the infrastructure for student is better because there are far more people, especially in our university.
We have another one question from Leticia Braga. Who would like to comment on the question?
Yeah, in our case, it's mandatory to reach the international. International Welcome Center is a part of the International Relations Office at the University of Granada. So it's not a separate service. They are also members. So they are connected to all the people dealing with teachers, students, and researchers. So the connection between or inside the same service is like quite well. And of course, to be a part of the International Relations Office, and of course, for the International Welcome Center is speaking speaking English at least. If you have more languages, it's even more appreciated, or you have extra points to reach the position there.
But I would interpret it, the question a little bit wider, because I think Leticia means whether the staff, the general staff, university staff, whether they all speak English. For instance, our HR staff, not everybody speaks English. That's why we built the bridge. So we always try to help, because especially the older colleagues, very often they don't speak English. Of course, the international staff people, they all speak, but you know, guest researchers, visiting scholars have a lot of contacts in other departments where people do not speak English. And that's why our materials, our assistant is so important.
Thank you. And another one from Barbara Paprocka. I won't read the questions, everybody can see it. I will just leave you some moments for reflection. Would you like to comment that question somehow?
Yeah, I can start. We do. We work with external firms in different ways. We, as I told you before, we are working with the PhDs, postdocs, and UP. And this whole UP group, it's lecturers, it is associate professors and assistant professors and professors. For this group, we have an extra service where we work together with, for example, with Deloitte, with PwC. Deloitte, they are helping us with house search. So we invite Deloitte and together with a researcher and a family, and they look around in Copenhagen area to find housing. PwC is giving extra help, a connection to some specific tax issues, and we are paying for them. So that's a lucky one. We have that one. It took us years to convince the management to give us money for that, but it works a lot. It works very, very good. So those are external firms we are paying, very professional, and they have the knowledge which we simply cannot provide. So that's why we are working with them.
I also saw in the participants list that we have also people from the town hall or municipality side who are very active in cooperation with universities from regions. So could you please extend also your comment to work to cooperation with the city and with the public offices, if I may say?
I think this is a very important point because it's mostly the most important issue to apply for a resident permit, to register at the resident services office. So these network partners, for us, they were most important. So of course, we try to invite the directors in our network. We try to keep contacts with them. And especially in our town, Foreigners Authority founded a special service team who just deals with our university and the higher educational institutions. So we get special services from them, which is really good.
In our university, we also have well, in this part of this connection to other services, we also use the employment and career services, even for the families, for connecting to the, you know, when they are traveling with their husbands or wives or whatever, they make them in contact with employment and career services, and many of their partners have found jobs in the connection that we use usually for the students, but also is open and offered to these people visiting. So it's not only, you have to consider that Granada is a very small city. You know, it's like 265 people living here, or 500,000 in the, you know, metropolitan area. It's quite close, and you can go walking from one side to the other. There are not so many companies here, but there are some of them. So many people, we are connected to university. Is a very strong power in the city, because we are the biggest company in the whole city. So we are connected to all the other companies in order to provide, you know, workforce and so on. And we use it also for the people coming with them. Even some researchers has stayed here for working companies with this connection, or using this connection through the employment and career services. So municipality also is open to our suggestions to be more and more connected, but it's not the International Welcome Center who is making these connections. We suggest this to the rectorate, and the rectorate go there and ask for services specifically for our visitors. And all of the times they agree to provide these services, or to open special groups, or just to integrate them in the general activities for the population, if the problem, or if the language is not really a problem.
Thank you, Ignacio.
Can I say one more thing with the universities? When I said International House, that's where we are. That's basically started because it's a university together with a municipality. We created this together. So this relationship for us is very, very important. And when we started our office, the first thing we did was, of course, drinking coffee with them. And then we were looking at, okay, what do you do already, so that we don't have to put resources in that. And now we collaborate. So it's a great collaboration we have. And I think you should treasure that. And I'm very happy that the municipality is also here. That shows their interests. So for everybody else, make sure to keep this relation strong.
Thank you, Mark. And we see already the next question, who is, I think, very interesting. Also having in mind that we are all busy all the time running and not having a minute for anything else than necessary. So as I understand from the question from Anna Maria Rogalska, how do you encourage to participate in language courses? Do you organize some workshops or orientation events?
Maybe I will take that one. So actually the people themselves, they are very interested in language courses. So we do not have to promote them. They always contact us whether we have any offers. And indeed, the university offers some German as a foreign language courses for our international postdocs and PhD students. But also we offer in cooperation with some language companies, individual language courses. And the second part, whether we organize intercultural courses, which is indeed very important. Once a year, we do organize such a course. It's called Typical German, and it's always very funny to our international researchers. So yeah, we do both.
Thank you, Anemone. Gentlemen?
No, in our case, we have the Modern Language Center that is a part of the university. So the course catalog is provided to all the visitors coming here, and they also organize all the intercultural aspects and courses and workshops and activities with the people going there. So it's a very, very multicultural place to go there. So we, even in the guideline that we provide to all the people before coming and when they arrive, we include the list of language courses that they can reach when the deadlines or the time for application and so on. So, but it's just the case that Anemone said, that many of the people comes with the idea they want to learn the language, not only to speak in English. So it's like coming side by side with them that they want to, but not only for them, also for the families. And it is quite, difficult to organize in the Modern Language Center, like this more intended for students, teachers, and staff, like to organize courses, but they have been done for little children to go there to learn the language. And we can provide also that.
Okay.
We are in a lucky situation in Denmark is that language courses are for free, organized through the municipality. But what we did is that we forced them to do these language courses at the faculties, because for a lot of researchers, their time is precious. So first we made sure that the language courses are held very close to the place where they work, and also during working hours. And then we have been fighting with their management to give the personal time to go for language school, which they do now. So the language lessons are next to their offices, but they also get time for it while working. And then the family is also invited there. So then it's a great thing to learn the language. They want to do it, and also they can do it together with their spouses. And then coming back to...
Sorry.
Yeah. Now, just finally, the cultural courses. We have a course catalog for for everybody working at the university, and personally I'm organizing cultural courses every third month, so that people can do it through the course catalog, but also they can book me to come to their department so that I can do it for the whole department, because I find it important when you talk about culture that you do it together with the local population. So it's Danes together with the international researchers, so they can hear the problems from each other. So that it's not only towards you foreigners, you should learn about Denmark, but it's also the Danes should learn about the foreigners.
I think we could go deeper into the question, because I understand that behind the question is not only language as a tool to communicate and for integration, but also how other tools and methods can be used to integrate the, let's call it, foreigners into the local society, to make them feel comfortable in the new environment, especially when they do not speak language so perfectly. But still, it's not only about the language, but also other maybe soft methods.
So maybe I will be first again about whether it's possible to work at our university. It's so funny because yesterday I just met a guy from India who has been living in Germany for 12 years now, but he was always so busy he couldn't learn German, he said. And since we do have international programs such as physics or chemistry, it is possible to not speak German but to work there. But of course we do not recommend it, because it's not only work, it's much easier if you know the language, that you can communicate also with the people, and also in your spare time to do things. But I personally know people who have been working here for a long time and who do not speak a word of German.
For us, it's also a problem, because if you have visited Granada, that we have a lot of tourists coming to visit. And even in the city, you cannot find a single sign in English. So everything is just in Spanish. And if you have to find Alhambra, you have to find it by yourself, just recognizing the name, because the signs are not in English. So people in the city are not so English speakers, but most of the times they put a lot of effort or make a lot of effort in trying to understand the other people with other ways. But this is a problem that is really local. And you have to imagine that University of Granada has campuses in 3 different cities. So it's Granada and north of Africa, Ceuta and Melilla, 2 Spanish cities in the north of Morocco. And then we have a high number of people living here in Ceuta and Melilla from Morocco, so Arabic speakers, but also it's quite crazy trying to, because the population is not really endowed. It's not the same like in Portugal, where you go there, it's like everybody is speaking English. Even in the supermarket or just walking around the street, you can find an old woman talking to you in English. And it's not the same for us. But from that side, we try to have some kind of people accompanying them, I mean the visitors, because there are many students, not for the undergraduate courses, but for masters and PhD, that they have some kind of interests in them. So we try to deal with this issue, even within the university, coming to the previous question about the staff knowing or speaking English. And sometimes you need to have some people accompanying them, because even in the faculties, it's quite difficult to find the people that are not researchers or teachers speaking English, or students, sorry. I mean administrative staff and those kind of people. So it's difficult for us to deal with that.
Thank you for this extensive comment. Thank you very much, Ignacio. Mark, would you like to? Oh no, we have actually very interesting question. Thank you, David, from the question, and I think it's also connected somehow to our program, but maybe it's not the right. I feel. Would you please comment? How do you prepare yourself to work with the researchers for a specific, probably, group of stakeholders? Do you also offer some trainings or workshops for your staff?
I think it's very, very good question, David. Thank you for that. Indeed, we offer twice a year intercultural trainings for members of the higher educational institutions and the authorities. So it's actually both. We train them, we give them knowledge about intercultural differences, but also we give them the chance to get to know to each other, to share things. So it's very, very important. And I think it's very important to train those people how to deal with international staff and visiting scholars. So it's a really good question, I think.
My answer is yes.
Go ahead.
It's a short answer. My answer is yes. And but basically we focus a lot of hiring the right people. So a lot of our staff, they are not Danes themselves, so we have a good mixture. And in that connection, just in our own team, we need to make sure that we can work together as a multicultural team. And that makes it also worth having these trainings, because we work in a multicultural environment. So, yeah.
At the University of Granada, we do the same, but recently we have included some courses and workshops in the training programs for staff, for academic staff, but also for administrative staff. We try not to make the separation, because cultural aspects are the same for all of them, and some issues can be interesting. These courses are recognized by the university. Even if you apply for a position, has to be considered if you have gone through these training courses. And they include like this interactive activity where you really have to interact to other people, to understand other people, not only about the language, but also about the cultural aspects. So it has been like normalized or even structured in the training of our staff. Year by year, we offer several courses.
If that's all from you, we have another one interesting question, again from Medical University from Gdańsk. If you organize staff weeks,
our international center has organized staff weeks, but since we are such a small group with just 2 colleagues, we haven't done this yet because, as you can imagine, we are very busy every day. So we haven't done it so far, no.
We used to include in our Erasmus staff week yearly, we have to have like 4 to 5 staff weeks every year. We used to include this kind of activities within them in order to listen to other people, just the same that we are doing here with our colleague panelists, and to learn from them. So we invite our staff also to join them because it's not going to have money involved. So you can have as many local people as you want. There are no money there. You don't have to travel or so on. So we used to organize several of them every year, using the people coming from outside as an opportunity to provide this kind of training.
I don't know what it is, so my answer would probably be no.
Okay, very clear. We have some more questions, again from Leticia. Okay, just question for beginners.
Well, we created flyers for the institutes with the first steps, but since I'm not living in Poland, I don't really know about the infrastructure. I think because it's Europe, it might be quite similar. So we start, of course, with providing the hosting agreement, preparing for visa, giving all the information. So if you are interested you can contact me and I can provide you with our flyer for the institutes we share with those institutes.
But Leticia, basically you are the specialist, right? I mean, you are the foreigner, you're the first one. So you basically need to tell them what you needed so that they can start with that. Because I think that's really, you just came there and you could see all the problems you had. That's what we did. When we started, we asked all the foreigners, like, what did you need? And then they said information. So we started with the website. So you need to help them. They need to be aware of the fact that, they need your help.
But in Germany, it makes a big difference, for instance, whether you are a PhD student with a work contract or whether you have a blue card, so I wouldn't really agree. So there might be right from the start differences which you should stick to. So yes and no.
There are so many different cases, so contacting the host institution is quite important. So do you have a contract? Are you coming from European Union? Are you coming from outside? So there are many different procedures that you have to follow. So having this kind of services abroad is quite important. But as Mark said, you are the first one. You can open the first line of even just contacting them and saying, I found these problems. Take into account because you can support the people traveling outside.
Okay, thank you. We have another one question. What do you actually do to make other departments inform about the international guests and promote your activities? This is the question that you somehow answered about the interinstitutional promotion, but still maybe you could extend your comment.
Yeah, even if the budget is related. I mean, the money that you are going to receive, we have here what we call contrato programa. It's like something that you have to fill. You select some topics each year. So there is a part of your yearly budget that you are going to have like fixed. And there is a part that can be filled. And one of the aspects is, do you report on your international visits and so on to the International Welcome Center? And we have to certify that it happens. So the money that you are going to receive yearly, I mean, as a department, as a faculty, or just a unit, part of this money is linked or tied to this kind of activity. So the university support the center and the connection of the center, even with the budget.
I have actually questions connected with this one, and it's more about the, you mentioned many times that Welcome Center is a bridge to communicate, to provide assistance and information. And as every bridge, it needs to be, let's say, moderated, renovated, uplifted, also according to the needs of your stakeholders. As for the beginners, you prepare some leaflets, some web page, and some information on it. But then with the experience, you see that some information are more desired, some web pages are more clickable. So how do you adjust the needs of your stakeholders? How do you adjust the service that you provide to the needs of your stakeholders? Also having in mind that the appetite is probably growing.
So being updated is the only possibility. We have Nana, who is the first line in this, you can say, war. And then every time that some new situation appears, all the information has to be updated. First of all, first we have to solve the problem specifically. We don't publish the problem without solving it. We solve it, and then when everything is working, first of all is updating the website, and then we have to update all our procedures and make them make all the services or even the institutional public bodies or something to know about that, because it's going to become regular. So it's like typical. So first of all, providing the information of the new service that has been requested, but also provided when we deal with the provision, of course, and then updating all the procedures and reporting to all the units and stakeholders involved.
I would like to start with the question I can still read. How do we inform or how do we get the information about the guests? Well, we used something because our international staff and visiting scholars didn't have a university card like Ignacio said. They didn't have it. So it was always a big problem to get Wi-Fi, to get a library access, to get a canteen. So with the provision of this card, they need to register with us. So actually it was a little trick to introduce this, because as a present, they get the card, but we get the data, we get the information. So this is how we did it. But of course, it might not work when all guests and international staff get a card anyway. So, and the second part, it's a lot of work, the virtual work, to keep up the web pages, to keep up the flyers. What we think it's really important not to be dependent on other people, especially because we are just 2 people. So we have all the software, we have the InDesign, we have the Adobe package. We can update our 2 web pages, or they are not pages. We have so many pages, they are web portals. So we don't need other people to do that. And that's why we are very up to date and on time. So if we get changes in the law, or for instance, now during Corona, the quarantine rules, everything, it changes from day to day, we can just do it. So we are always up to date, and we try not to rely on other people, but maybe because we have to, because we don't have enough staff to help us. So we just do it ourselves.
Thank you.
I think it's key what you're saying, Anemone, with a card, to make sure that your Welcome Center works and gets the best attention, is to make sure that you have something in your office which people need. Like, we are working with residents and working permits. They need that. So they need to, we have to contact them. So through our own HR department, where we are part of, we get the details of every single new foreign employee, and we both organize an information meeting. So we invite them in our house, but we also make sure that we need to help them with their working and residence permit. Having said that, you should not have this dream that everybody knows about you. So even though also in the old days that we made their contracts, so we made sure we gave them salary, we give them information meetings, we did everything what we could. And it's still very often when we ask people in another meeting, do you know who we are? People are like, no, we don't know who you are. Like, okay, but we are giving your salary. Oh, okay. We are working with researchers, right? A lot of researchers are very focused on the research, and suddenly they have a problem, and then they need you, but they don't know about you because they didn't think about you in the beginning. So when you send out welcome mail in the beginning, make sure that these welcome mails are very focused to whatever they need. Some welcome centers, they have this huge welcome package, but you can also imagine yourself if you move to China and you get 16 pages on day one, you don't remember that one, it goes to the bin and you forget about it. So make sure how you adjust your information at which time. It's very, very important. Another thing related to your question, Kata, is basically we ask our researchers all the time, like, what do you need? Are our services good? So we both have on paper, like online, we have an evaluation form, which we send out once a year, like an extensive one. But every single event, we make sure to talk to people, ask them, what do you need? Do you need more of this? Do you need less of that? So it's important to keep the finger on the pulse and make sure that you know what your target group needs.
So true. I don't know how comfortable do you feel in the second hour of our webinar, but there is a personal question, maybe not personal question, but personal piece of advice. Would you please be so kind and give advice to Barbara?
I think this one has to be replied directly by Nana because she has been here from the very beginning of the Welcome Center, and she can reply this sentence. So I skip the turn.
I think we can make Nana a presenter at the moment. So if Nana will decide to share with us, she will join us. In the meanwhile, maybe Anemone or maybe Mark, would you like to comment?
Well, I think it's important just to start and not to hesitate, because everything you do already helps. So, and step by step, you get better. It just takes time. It's like, you know, a big puzzle. So first you have the frame, and then there are more and more pieces. And what Mark says, talk to the people when they leave you, ask them to come around and have a chat with them. What would you have needed? What would have helped? This is why we created our, I don't know how many flyers we already have now for all the different types of information needed. So you will feel that what they need actually. So, and don't hesitate, because it really takes a while.
Okay, Gasha, do I have to do anything with my camera? Because I don't know if you can see my image. No.
We can hear you. We don't see your camera.
Okay. Okay, look, it is a pleasure to be in the here with you, sharing the answer to this question. Well, for me, it was really a challenge, because I work in the international office, and then one day my boss, she came and she said, "Look, Nana, we want to open an international welcome center, and I want you to be there." I was puzzled. She said, "Look," and she wrote to me on a piece of paper the word EU access, and then she said, "Look, you have to find out about EU access." And I started looking for Eurasic services. And then I realized that I was doing in the international office work related to what Euraxis did at the beginning. So I was really happy that my boss, she trusted on me, and I started there. How well, the work was a little bit difficult at the beginning because I had to organize many things, contracts, and also what you talk about the bridge. I did not understand what was the meaning of the bridge in my institution at the beginning, no? But then I realized that I was there alone by myself, and then I have to have many hands open, no, to share with the Vice Rectorate for Research and Transfer, with the OFP, which is the office which publish all Marie Curie actions and everything. So, and then also we have a special social security office. We have an office for, to sign contracts. Then I have to, I had to open a little bit more my door, because I realized that working in my office during many years, I never accompany people. So I agree with you, Mark. We need more coffees. So I told my boss, if I can accompany myself to to the offices that they have to go, like for instance the immigration office. Then I went with them to the immigration office. I accompanied all the families. I accompanied them to buy a phone card because the first days they don't know how to speak or how to deal with these kind of things. No, as Ignacio said, in Granada, no, well, normally we speak Spanish, not other languages. So I started accompanying them and being a shadow in a way, no, and with them, no. And then I started learning how they have to act, where they their worries, housing. Also, I started dealing with the owners of the houses, and started translating. I don't know. I started translating the lease contract and everything. So they trusted in me. I was really very, very happy to be there. No, and then my office started working. So finally, we created some, as Anemone said, we created some supportive papers. Well, we did a guide for researchers, but this guide took at least 4 years for me, to know what they are really needing, how is everything going on. So that's how I started, and then, well, now I'm alone, but open to, because we are integrated in the international office, and I am not only by myself. This feeling, I do not have that feeling that I am alone by myself, but I start feeling that the access center, the welcome center, is a heart beating there in the university. Yeah, and I receive a lot of I don't know how to say, consultations, a lot of questions from, and then that's it.
Thank you, Encarnacion. I think it was really very personal advice from personal experience, and thank you so much for sharing it with us. And when I'm looking at the clock, I think it's maybe time to ask the very last question, if you allow me, before we will give the floor to our director, Dr. Grażyna Żebrowska. I mean, the last question would be, your presentations, you showed us examples of things that you do and procedures and activities that you do in, let's call it, normal times. But the question is, if something changed because of COVID, how do you adapt your procedures? How do you adapt your actings, also leaflets, web pages, actually everything, all the operating to the current situation?
So I will start with this question. I can hear double voice.
We can hear you.
Yeah, but I can hear myself. Anyway, of course, we were really busy during the last weeks, during the COVID months. We added special information on our web pages, up-to-date information about Corona, quarantine, everything. But of course, we were always working hard in the virtual world. So this was really good because at the moment, everything is virtual. So it's very important to have up-to-date information. So we worked really hard because many of our researchers, they got stuck abroad, they couldn't come back. So they needed a lot of help. And I think we are more flexible now because we used to have office hours. Now they can reach us always with Skype. And so Corona also gave something positive because it's not as strict now with the office hours. We are much more flexible, things like that. So of course it's a different kind of work, but we have been really busy.
Tough question, Ignacio, Mark?
We contacted all the people who were registered in the office when everything came up. I mean, with the pandemic and the closure of the country, in order to know what they wanted to do, if they wanted to stay or to leave, and then to deal with each one of the issues individually. So we updated all the information because the decision was made by the university. So we only published the university and the decision, because even the researchers were not allowed to go to the research centers for 2 weeks. And then you had to ask for a special permission to go to the research center if you have some kind of experiment and so on. If don't, you have to stay at home and so on. So we contacted individually the researchers to know about their specific that they need, their needs, or what they want to do. So we used the individual contact.
Thank you.
Okay, we basically it's the same as Anna-Mona said. I think the same. I don't have to repeat it, but it's the same way. Like making sure that our website was a central piece of information for them. Make sure it's updated, putting our resources there, that people know how to come back or how to travel or what the situation is, and shifted everything online. Also social events, because it's important to have social events now when people are at home. So we shifted everything online, and we did a lot of things already before. So it isn't, extra work, but very positive actually. And people are very happy with the concrete information on the website that is updated every single minute. The only thing what I would like to add is that we had a Corona task force. So we met every single morning across the university with different departments, and we were always having this international researchers hat on. So if that topic came up, then it was channeled through us, and then we put it on the website immediately. So
great. Thank you very much for the final question. I hope it will be very important. However, then the atmosphere and the temperature of our discussion went a little bit down, but our director, Dr. Grażyna Grzebrowska, is already with us, so please, floor is yours.
Thank you. Dear panelists, thank you very much for your contribution and sharing with us best practices from Germany, Denmark, and Spain. Please excuse me that I cannot be with you during the opening of this webinar due to other commitments, but I have to follow the panel discussion, and I pick up some very interesting ideas, for instance, about coffee. Yes, I will remember coffee. And I'm deeply convinced that your thoughts will be inspiring for Polish higher education institutions that set up or develop welcome centers for foreign researchers. Currently, we have more and more such initiatives at Polish universities, but it's still much to do to provide relevant support for international scientific staff in our country. I suppose that many practical solutions mentioned by our panelists may be implemented in Poland. Coffee, yes, I remember. Of course, we have to take into account specific needs, priorities, and resources that we have, but it is already good to know what works and what is recommended by our foreign partners, more experience in this area. Let me mention one more issue, which is COVID-19. The current pandemic has impacted higher education very much. However, we are strongly determined to advance internationalization despite all obstacles. Modern science needs international exchange, and we have to encourage cross-border research, cooperation, and mobility. Polish National Agency for Academic Exchange facilitates capacity building in the area for welcoming and supporting foreign researchers. At the beginning of October this year, we'll launch a new call for proposals under the program Welcome to Poland that focuses on internationalization at home and developing welcome centers. I would like to encourage our Polish stakeholders to take part in the call and submit your proposals. I wish you all a lot of success and health, of course. Thank you very much for your attention and participation in the webinar. And at the end, please allow me to thank you, Kasia Aleksy, for preparing this virtual event. Thank you.
And Monika.
So such a great team, and of course we have some other actors behind the scene, but again, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And I think that's it for today. Thank you for being so patient and staying with us for almost 2 hours. As Monika already wrote you in the chat, we will send you the presentation. The recording will be available at the YouTube channel, and can't wait further cooperation with our colleagues and another ideas for webinars. Thank you all and have a good day.
Have a good day.
Thank
Bye.
you very much. Bye.
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 Bo te zielone nacisnąć na początku. No,